I think that we say we want people to participate, that we want people to engage and buy in our meetings or our trainings or our communities. And then when people do that, when they participate, they share their voice, their opinions, their perspectives, we're suddenly like, oh, this is so much harder when people say things that I don't agree with or that other people in the room don't agree with. Maybe it would be easier if people didn't say anything. And I think that fear that people are going to say stuff that we aren't going to know how to handle, or that the group won't know how to handle, actually subconsciously keeps us from getting people to authentically participate. I think that most people I know hate conflict. There are exceptions. There are wonderful people who grew up in communities or environments or in identity spaces where actually conflict wasn't to be avoided. It was something that was generative, that was leaned into, that was part of what it meant to be part of that community. But for a lot of us, conflict is something scary, something divisive, and something to be avoided. And I see that all the time in facilitators I know who want to do everything to keep everything level and keep everything still. And sometimes that means actually keeping people from authentically participating. Because if they are authentically participating, we do risk people saying things that bring conflict up. Now, I'm somebody who grew up in a conflict avoidant household and in a conflict avoidant kind of community and world. That is not something that I have leaned into, but it's something that I have figured out that if we avoid, it just disrupts and kind of corrupts the amount of change that is possible in a space and within groups. So I've come up with strategies to help me both stay centered and grounded when conflict arises, but also know what to do when somebody says something that just kind of creates this like distrust ripple within the group. I have a strategy for those moments. And that strategy makes me feel so much more confident going into them that I'll be able to handle them, which means I actually welcome people to say their authentic thoughts rather than to say a watered down version that might be palatable to everyone. And I think that makes me a better facilitator. And I think it makes me somebody who can actually hold space for difficult conversations because I'm not afraid of that difficulty actually coming to the surface. So if you're interested in this, I'd love to know what your strategies are for actually dealing and navigating with conflict. What do you say? What are your moves? What are the things that help you move through that moment without going around it? And if you're like, I need some of those strategies, I'm doing a workshop called Holding Space, and that workshop is my best answers to this question. How do we create productive conflict? How do we handle the moment where somebody says something that can actually be really disruptive? And how do we keep that person on board rather than isolating them from the group in order to just move around the conflict that they created? I'll leave more information in the link below.